Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of Critics and Cars Getting Home. And where have we just been?
We've just been to the Odyssey by Christopher Nolan.
And we know it's a long time since we've done this, but it's a film that probably deserves breaking our fast for.
Absolutely. It definitely feels like a film about which there is plenty to say. You may already know that it's having premiered abroad in some of the important places around the world. It had already been getting pretty good reviews, right? Now, we have not actually discussed this yet to know for sure what Doug Dillerman thinks and what Sarah Watt thinks. So you will be the first to hear it. Except
if you wait to watch this after you've read Sarah's listener review, in which case you'll be the second to hear it.
Sure.
But yeah, so I was pretty into it with reservations for about the first 2 hours and 15 minutes, and then I fell hard for it in the last 45 minutes.
We're talking a 3-hour movie, guys.
We are talking a 3-hour movie. But, you know, I mean, it is literally one of the places the word epic comes from. So,
yes, that's right.
So we haven't watched any Christopher Nolan to prepare for this. No. We did watch Troy, which is really
Wolfgang Petersen.
Yes.
But obviously it's very similar because it is. To be fair, it's a Wolfgang Petersen film from 2004.
Yes,
and it has all the auspices of a 2004 action adventure set in ancient Greece, starring Brad Pitt. Wow, 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 wow! And it's not a great film, but it was super useful in terms of reminding us about the story of the Trojan horse, which figures super bigly in the Odyssey. It's being about Odysseus's journey home from the Trojan War that takes him, spoiler alert, 10 years?
Longer.
20 years?
Almost, I think.
Right.
I think it's 18 years is the official amount, although I don't think they ever say that on screen.
Oh yeah, no, you'd be about right when you do the math.
Yeah.
Because there's 10 years spent on a beach and then 7 years spent on an island, etc.
Yeah, and then some other adventures, of which there are many. So, I mean, Christopher Nolan, I think, is mostly famous in a lot of his films for playing around with time and moving back and forth through
with narratives.
Yeah. I mean, obviously,
I thought that was hugely successful in this film.
Yes,
because you see the whole thing, and I don't profess to be like a scholar here by any means, but the whole thing is obviously, or maybe not obviously, but it's written as it's stories within a story sort of thing. So you've got a lot of scenes, haven't we, where particularly Odysseus is telling somebody else where he's been and what he's been through. Normally he's telling Calypso, played by the luminous Charlize Theron.
Yes.
And then it's I thought it was very, very personally very well edited to be completely coherent. We've got flashbacks, we've got parallel storylines, and there was nothing needed to kind of make that clear to us.
Yeah, I think it's obviously Nolan, I think, is sometimes going for productive confusion in some of his films with some of the playing with time and being a bit tricky and all of this.
Oh, what, you mean like Tenet?
But
and Inception, sure.
Yeah, sure. Or Interstellar obviously has the very different ones. Dunkirk has the 3 different timelines going all at once. He's obsessed.
Let's just say.
And it's amazing how none of that feels like game playing here. It feels so organic,
it does
despite
feel
the fact
organic.
And I think a huge amount of that has to go to obviously the editing, but also Ludwig Göransson's score, which is a brilliant piece of
it is brilliant.
work.
It is unlike, and you know, people are going to write in and say actually it reminds me of Hooslam and whatnot, but actually it is unlike James Horner or John Williams or Morricone, may he rest in peace, and it's unlike Hans Zimmer, who, you know, for a time there was Nolan's go-to composer, right?
And I think it's even unlike other Göransson scores that he's done for Nolan.
It feels quite. I hate it when people go, it feels quite unique.
Yes.
But it does feel unique, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I know that he said that he used some mode or something that's never been used before, but it's also just some of the use of percussion and building meters that play against each other in the Siege of Troy at the start.
It is genius soundtrack music accompaniment to what you're seeing in a 3-hour movie that is an Odyssey. And may I just say, because you haven't actually asked, but I thought it was amazing. The first little while, so here's one of the things, guys, we don't really use the phrase colorblind casting anymore, but the cast is multinational and nobody cares less what anybody looks like, and it 100% totally works, to the extent that I didn't even think about it, other than the fact that I had read already that there had been brouhaha in nasty alt-right corners of the internet around the fact that Lupita Nyong'o plays Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, blah blah, and she's absolutely brilliant. She also plays the twin sister Clytemnestra, and she's brilliant. And there are many other people of color, and you know, Doug had said, well, you know, technically in those days you were probably drawing your soldiers and your sailors and everything from wherever. And if you're going around the Mediterranean and North Africa conquering places, chances are that you're not. Exactly. But maybe more controversially, people are speaking in their own accents, although actually no, American accents. Tom Holland, Spider-Man, who's grown up a little bit, hasn't he? Wasn't he good as Telemachus, Odysseus' son? I think pretty much everyone is good to great in this. They all are. I mean, the Samantha Morton and Robert Pattinson sort of were the ones who've been getting the most buzz, and they certainly deserve it. And them and Tom Holland, they're English, and they were doing it with American accents. Yeah, so they found some sort of standard, like, patois. Yeah, that works and isn't too distracting. But can I just say, to my point about me loving the film, the first 7 minutes of the film, I mean, they chuck you straight in, and Tom Holland's character is talking to people about the fact that he's grown up without his dad because Odysseus years ago had gone off to fight the Battle of Troy, etc. And Tom Holland going, "Did you know my dad?" I was like, I don't know how I'm going to manage with this film. And yet, it suddenly totally works. They're speaking in modern day Americanese. When he called his Anne Hathaway mum, I was like, oh, mom. Yeah, there's a couple fucks in there and a couple other kind of. Well, now you've said that, we're going to have to make this adults only. Adults only for After Dark. Now, speaking of adults only. Yep. I thought there was some really horrific, we're not going to say which horrific moments, but really horrifying moments in the film that were more viscerally body horror kind of frightening than Backrooms or Obsession or a lot of what we've watched lately. I didn't find it as traumatic as particularly Backrooms, much less Obsession, but it is. I was saying on the way out that I feel like the last few Nolan films I've seen, I mean, obviously Oppenheimer has that really intense scene in the gymnasium where he envisions what it would be like if the nuclear bomb went off in there. And there's also some various things in Tenet and Dunkirk that made me think, I think he really wants to make a horror film that's really impactful, but he's found himself in this place where he's gets to make 200 however many $1 million films using all the toys in the toy box, and has to somehow fit in that box safely. And so he's pushing everything to the edge of the impact. And I think this is a fantasy movie. It is a fantasy movie that allows you to get away with those things. Right. But also it pushes you to go into places, right? Because this isn't, I mean, it is a war movie, but we're not talking about the blood and guts of war. That we've seen a million times, Clash of the Titans, Troy, 300, you name it. So it's not that. There are other bits when Odysseus is on his Odyssey. Yeah, so the Odyssey is obviously episodic, and some of the, if you haven't read it recently, it'll all come to you as you're watching. It's like, oh, this is the bit where they go in the cave and this guy shows up, and there's all the highlights that'll come flashing back. And I think it's nice to not have revisited that, so you can get some of the surprises. But there's one body horror sequence in particular that took you aback, didn't it? It really did. Yeah. I mean, it's very well done, but I did think this is quite viscerally horrifying and really not something that people should have in their mind's eye sort of thing. I think it's very much interesting seeing how, because it's shot on IMAX and because no one's so interested in practical effects,
And the opening title says "A Time of Apparent Magic."
Yeah.
And his attempt to bring in, there's only one god in it, who's Athena, which is played by Zendaya, and there's a few clearly supernatural creatures that appear at various points.
But they are kind of
but there's
normalized, aren't
yeah,
they?
there is very much, and one of my complaints is broadly about no one speaking, is just this weird monkey's paw sort of thing, where we've got this guy who's committed to original storytelling, who's committed not just to keeping IMAX alive, but to advancing it so he can shoot a whole film in IMAX and utilizing this amazing format. And he's also colorblind, so like half the film looks a little beige and gray and tan and stuff.
Did you feel that?
And yeah, I did notice that. I feel
thought
like
it was all bright blue and burnt orange. Those are the colors that I wrote down in my trusty little notebook.
There certainly is a lot of sea in it, to be fair, because getting home via the sea takes some doing. Look, I think it's a minor complaint, and I think I
found the focus was out quite a lot.
Yes, I think the focus pulling on those IMAX cameras
must be super hard. So apparently IMAX cameras weigh 180 kilograms.
Yikes.
And quite how they did what can only have been a crane shot and couldn't possibly have been a drone shot. I mean, beggars belief. But yeah, so I was thinking that might be, and also because if you're watching it in the IMAX, which you actually should, visually, but also for the sound. I mean, it was seat-pulsingly exhilarating in parts, but also
I can't even imagine what this will sound like on a normal TV.
No.
Like some of that sounded perilously close to when you've overloaded your speakers at home.
Yeah.
And it was shaking
and
us.
you could feel it through your seat.
Yeah.
But yeah, the focus pulling is clearly tricky.
Yeah, I think for me, the first 2 hours, you have this episodic story.
Yeah.
And it's
you
a
like
familiar
it or you
story.
Don't like that?
I like it. I mean, that's what it is, and I thought he did an exemplary job of not making it feel episodic in the sense that, often in episodic stories you have these peaks and troughs of energy.
Yeah, no, and it didn't.
It's really maintains that.
It's propulsive,
but
the whole thing. I never see, quite often in a long film, I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I wonder when it's going to end. And I didn't want it to go forever, but I did not feel that I wanted it to end.
Well, I did. There gets to be a point where it's like, okay, well, we're seeing near where we're going to have our final episode, and I'm not sure that this is going to be more than the sum of its parts. Of, it's this Odyssey and a bunch of stuff has happened, and then I thought it was. I thought the thematic weight of the film just comes home so strong, and it becomes about something more than just going to war and wanting to get home to see the woman you loved and having had a bunch of supernatural shit conspire to keep you from doing that.
Yeah, it's true. It does. It has meaning and purpose and thought.
Yeah.
And it has meaning and purpose and thought about a story that is 3,000 years old or something.
I'll pass on that. I don't know the exact days of the Troy War. I mean, it's certainly more than 2,000 years old. But it is, it's... And also, I guess the other thing is it doesn't work without the central love story. And I think Matt Damon's brilliant in this. I think he will probably be overlooked because he's such the solid central core of grounding a lot of crazy stuff going on around him. And how did you feel about Anne Hathaway? Because I don't think of you as a big Anne Hathaway fan.
And look, Anne Hathaway was fine, and I don't mean fine. I'm not damning with faint praise. She acquitted herself really well. I mean, it's not going to be an Oscar-winning performance. Interestingly, Robert Pattinson, as you say, has been getting a lot of buzz, and he's terrific, and maybe he will get nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and I wouldn't mind if he did. But to be honest, I've also seen him do really, really good work most of the time. So it wasn't perhaps quite so startling. But I actually, Matt Damon hasn't won an acting Oscar, and I would be perfectly happy with his being nominated for this. But I don't know if it's a showy enough performance. And in fact, in a way, it isn't showy, and that's part of the
I think that's
beautiful
what I think
point
that's
of
what I
it.
mean. Is it is a masterclass in restraint, and even a couple
He
of the
seems like
lines,
an
which are
ordinary guy,
almost
right?
written as like kind of, you can see how some of the lines can be written as humorous.
Yeah.
And he leans away from delivering them as a gag.
Yeah, he doesn't
You know,
like
he
wink
just-
at the no.
Yeah, the immersion in the character is full. And,
But he
and-
does seem
yeah.
like an ordinary, very talented warrior, ordinary guy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
An everyman. Well, not an everyman, but a good man.
We're almost home, so I think. Do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I mean, if we went on a bit long this time, it's because the movie was 3 hours. So, and there's a lot to say. I really enjoyed it. Really happy with it. I had been looking forward to it enormously. It didn't take me 2 hours to get into it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have come round to it in the way that you have.
Oh, I was into it with reservations. I just really fell hard in the last act. And I will say also, seeing it on IMAX felt very worth it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would certainly recommend that format. We have digital IMAX here, so we won't be seeing it on film, but unless we travel over to Melbourne, where they apparently do have it on film.
It still felt a bit rugged and filmy anyway, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it's
not crisp.
still the right way to see it.
No.
Great. Well, take care and see you next time.
See you next time.